Get into ruminating thought spirals often. I go to worst case scenario in my mind, and it is not a good place to exist. I do think that it's good to go to worst case scenario sometimes to remind ourselves that once we're there, we can push through it. We can get on the other side of the thing that we are most fearful of. It's good to look that in the face. But the danger is when your thoughts, your ruminating thoughts, just continue and kind of start to take over and control everything. That's when you want to stop them in their tracks. You say, "Hey, I see you. I appreciate you for trying to come over here and save me," or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Thoughts. I acknowledge you. I appreciate you, but I'm going to send you on your way. So this was happening for me last night. As I was getting into bed, sometimes I'll just get like a bout of anxiety as I'm getting into bed, which is the absolute worst time to get anxiety. When you're trying to get comfortable and go to sleep and be calm, it just comes up. And so what do you do? Well, what I did last night was I grabbed my journal. I typically only write in my journal after I have done a meditation practice. I don't meditate every single day right now. I'll do every like 2, 3, sometimes 4 days. I'll have a walking meditation sometimes where I'm just out in the world because meditation doesn't have to be a, a traditional sit. You can meditate in whatever way feels best to you, in whatever way resonates. But while I was doing a traditional sit, after I do a traditional sit, I will write out my thoughts, whatever my intuition is coming to me and telling me. But last night, I kind of broke with that process and decided to write down some things that I am grateful for. And I also wrote down these questions that were coming up in my head, or it was the ruminating thoughts that I was having. And so then I started asking myself questions like, do I have any example of this becoming truth in my life? Do I have any indication or any sort of um, any kind of awareness of the fact that this could actually happen? It's not the word that I'm looking for, but I'm trying to practice non-attachment right now with looking for the word. But the word is evidence. Do we have evidence that this thing that we're really afraid of is going to happen? If you look back at all of the things that have happened in your life up until now, a lot of times the thing that you're most concerned about has never even happened in your life. Maybe it has, but for the majority of people, we are spending all this time and energy worrying about something that maybe will never come to fruition. How much time and energy have you spent worrying about something that never came to fruition? I have spent a lot of my time, a lot of my precious time on my life's journey being invested in something that has not come to fruition yet, worrying about that outcome. So I'll read a little bit of what I wrote. I'm in gratitude for this day, for the small changes I witnessed within myself today, and for finding something that keeps me completely present with my plants. I love my plants. I like rearranged some of them in the front yard this morning, or not this morning, yesterday. And it just gave me so much calmness and presence. And I realized that I wasn't thinking about anything else. My body was lit up, my mind was lit up, and I was only focused on the one thing. I want you to recognize how much energy you're putting into focusing on your fear of running out of money. So that's the thing that comes up for me all the time is the scarcity of money, even though I have no evidence that I'm going to run out of money. And my intuition is always telling me that I don't have to worry about that. But yet still, the fear keeps taking over, even though the voice in my head that is kind to me and knows better. I am listening to the fear voice because that one is louder. You know how they say that a lot of times the best leader is the one who's always quiet, the one who's listening? the same thing with your intuition. It's sitting there quietly, just observing, and then comes out every once in a while when you quiet your mind enough and let it have a louder voice. That's all you need to know. Whatever that voice is telling you is all you need to know. I want you to recognize how much energy you're putting into focusing on your fear of running out of money. Has that happened yet? No, it hasn't. Do you have any evidence other than that? No. So focus on what you do know. You have money in savings. You're being more mindful about not spending as much. And Curtis, my husband, keeps getting work. I left my job, my full-time corporate job, in April a couple of years ago because it just wasn't aligning in the same way anymore. I kept advocating for myself, and I was not getting the things that I was asking for. I was not getting the promotion for the work that I was doing, the title change. And I had to go and explore and do other things. And I have not made very much money in the last couple of years, but somehow it has ended up working out okay. So allow me to be an example in this and what I'm sharing with you right now. I'm very fearful of this thing, this nebulous thing. That's a totally reasonable thing to be afraid of. But I'm afraid of this thing that has not happened, and I have no evidence of it happening. Pardon my sleep number bed as it resets itself in the middle of this, if you can hear that. But there we go. That's human life. There are always distractions, okay? Um, Focus on what you do know. You have money in savings. You're being more mindful about not spending as much, and Curtis keeps getting work. You will make money again. This won't be forever. You spend a lot of time and brain real estate on these worries. But what if you don't have anything to worry about? What if your intuition is very right? What if you start making money? What if Curtis gets a really good gig? What if someone books? We have a short-term rental in Virginia that we bought. We live in Los Angeles, and we bought a short-term rental back in my home state. What if somebody books it for a long stay? A lot of times it's not booked right now, and then we have to pay savings to be able to pay the mortgage on it. Real talk. That can be a little scary sometimes. There are so many things that can go right. Remember that. I think that's the biggest takeaway in all of this. There are so many things that can go right. And yet, we all focus on what could go wrong. We all get into that spiral of what could go wrong. So, going into this week, I want you to reframe what could go wrong into what could go right, what could go perfectly, what could go in the exact way that you were hoping for or better.